evening, everyone. Have you ever spoken something and immediately regretted it? Maybe it was a harsh word, an unkind joke, or a careless comment. Our words have immense power. They can build someone's confidence or break their spirit. They can create harmony or sow conflict. Yet most of us speak without thinking, as if our mouths have a mind of their own. Training your mouth isn't just about being polite. It's about consciously choosing words that uplift, inspire, and spread positivity. Imagine your words as seeds. Some seeds blossom into beautiful flowers, others grow into weeds that choke the garden. Your daily conversations are that garden. When we talk, our words create impressions, memories, and even destinies. A simple compliment can change a person's day. A careless remark can hurt deeply. The question is, can we learn to speak thoughtfully, intentionally, and wisely? The answer is yes. But it starts with awareness, practice, and patience. It requires slowing down, reflecting before speaking, and choosing words that heal rather than harm. It requires humility to admit when we're wrong, courage to apologize, and wisdom to avoid unnecessary arguments. Every time you train your mouth, you train your mind. And every time your mind grows, your life transforms. So today, I invite you to become a gardener of words. Plant seeds of encouragement, kindness, and truth. Watch your relationships flourish. Watch your character grow. And most importantly, watch the world around you change, one word at a time. Remember, your mouth is powerful, but only when it's guided by mindfulness. Train it well, and it will speak the language of greatness. Words are powerful. They are more than just sounds or letters strung together. They are the tools with which we shape our reality, influence others, and even define our own identity. Think about it. Every thought we express becomes a word, and every word has the potential to create, heal, inspire, or destroy. A single sentence can spark a revolution, change someone's mindset, or provide comfort in a moment of despair. Conversely, careless words can crush dreams, damage relationships, and leave scars that linger for years. It is remarkable how invisible and intangible something as simple as speech can be, yet its effects are tangible and often irreversible. Consider how often we underestimate the impact of words. A teacher encourages a struggling student with a simple "you can do it," and suddenly the student believes in their own potential. That one phrase, small as it may seem, becomes a powerful force in shaping the student's confidence and ambition. On the other hand, a single negative comment, perhaps something meant jokingly or carelessly, can instill doubt or fear. Words are not just about what we say. They are about what they make others feel, what they make others believe, and what they plant in their hearts. Words also have the power to shape our own minds. The way we speak to ourselves internally determines how we perceive challenges and opportunities. Saying, "I am capable," or "I can handle this," can ignite confidence and resilience. Conversely, constantly telling ourselves, "I'm not good enough," or "I'll never succeed," can reinforce feelings of inadequacy and defeat. Our internal dialogue, composed entirely of words, becomes the foundation upon which we build our lives. The language we use with ourselves, the same power as the language we use with others, it can nurture growth or perpetuate limitations. Powerful words often carry intention. It is not merely the act of speaking that makes words influential, but the thought, emotion, and energy behind them. When words are spoken from the heart, they resonate deeply. A sincere apology, a heartfelt compliment, or a message of encouragement can touch someone more profoundly than any grand gesture. On the contrary, hollow words or words spoken without thought can appear meaningless or even hurtful. This is why it is so important to cultivate awareness of not only what we say, but how we say it. The power of words is magnified when they are aligned with truth, empathy, and integrity. We also live in a world where words travel far and wide. In today's age of social media and instant communication, one careless statement can ripple across countless lives, affecting people we may never meet. This amplifies the responsibility we carry with our speech. Every word we release into the world has consequences, intentional or not. Choosing words carefully is not a limitation. It is an opportunity to positively influence, uplift, and inspire. Understanding the power of words changes how we live, how we interact, and how we relate to the world. It encourages us to think before we speak, to measure the impact of our expressions, and to embrace the responsibility that comes with communication. Words are tools, seeds, and mirrors all at once. They reveal who we are, shape who we become, and influence the lives of those around us. When you truly respect the power of words, you speak with purpose, listen with attention, and cultivate a life where your speech uplifts, inspires, and transforms. The words you choose today will shape the world you see tomorrow. Being conscious before speaking is one of the simplest yet most profound skills you can develop. It's easy to underestimate the power of a pause, a moment where you stop, breathe, and think before letting your words escape. Most of the time, we speak as if our mouths have a life of their own, reacting impulsively to situations, emotions, or provocations. But when you cultivate awareness before speaking, you gain control over the energy you release into the world. You begin to understand that words are not just sounds. They carry intentions, emotions, and consequences that ripple far beyond the moment. Think about everyday conversations. How often have we said something in anger, frustration, or impatience only to regret it immediately afterward? Maybe it was a harsh word to a colleague, a sarcastic comment to a friend, or an impatient tone with a loved one. In those moments, we were not conscious, we were reactive. Yet, if we had taken even a few seconds to pause and reflect, just to consider the impact of our words, we could have chosen a response that was thoughtful, kind, and constructive. That pause, small as it seems, is the difference between planting seeds of harmony and sowing seeds of conflict. Being conscious before speaking doesn't mean being robotic or cautious to the point of stiffness. It means being aware of the moment, aware of the people you are addressing, and aware of the energy you are putting into your words. It means asking yourself silently, will this word help or harm? Will it build or break? Will it uplift or discourage? When you begin asking these questions consistently, your speech transforms from a reflex into a deliberate act of creation. You start noticing the weight of even casual comments and the subtle impact they can have on someone's mindset and emotions. Consider the story of a manager who was quick to point out mistakes in his team. Initially, he thought he was being efficient, but over time he noticed the team's morale was declining. Then he decided to be conscious before speaking. Before giving feedback, he would pause, reflect on how to phrase his words constructively, and focus on encouragement alongside correction. Over time, the atmosphere in the team shifted. People started feeling valued, motivated, and understood. That small practice of thinking before speaking transformed not only his relationships, but also the productivity and positivity of the entire team. The practice of consciousness before speaking also applies to ourselves. Sometimes the words we say internally, our thoughts, are just as powerful. The way we talk to ourselves shapes our confidence, our decisions, and even our resilience. Being mindful of both internal and external speech creates harmony within and around us. Developing this habit takes time, patience, and consistent effort. Start with small conversations. Pause before responding. Choose your words carefully and observe the impact. Soon it becomes second nature, and you realize the immense power you hold simply by being aware. Every word you speak can either become a bridge connecting hearts or a wall dividing them. When you consciously choose your words, you become a person who spreads understanding, compassion, and inspiration instead of conflict, doubt, or negativity. Being conscious before speaking is not just a practice. It's a form of personal mastery. It allows your words to reflect your character, your intentions, and your wisdom. And when this becomes a habit, you'll notice that life responds differently to you. Your relationships deepen, your influence grows, and your world becomes a garden nurtured by thoughtful, meaningful speech. Your words are like seeds. Think about that for a moment. Every time you speak, you are planting a seed in someone's heart, mind, or soul. Some seeds grow into beautiful flowers that bring joy, inspiration, and hope. Others grow into weeds, spreading negativity, doubt, or pain. Yet most of us speak without thinking, tossing seeds randomly, never realizing the kind of garden we are creating in the lives of others. A single careless remark can linger for days, even years, in someone's memory, just like a seed that sprouts into an unwelcome weed. On the other hand, a simple word of encouragement or appreciation can transform a person's day, much like a flower blooming unexpectedly in a barren field. Consider this. When you compliment someone sincerely, you are watering a seed of confidence and self-belief. That seed may grow into ambition, creativity, or resilience, But when you criticize harshly, gossip, or speak without empathy, you are planting weeds, seeds of doubt, fear, and resentment. And the irony is that the person planting the words often forgets what they said, while the seed continues to grow inside the listener. It doesn't vanish. It either nourishes or suffocates. Every interaction you have, whether with a colleague, a family member, or a stranger, is a chance to plant intentionally. Imagine a teacher who encourages a struggling student by saying, "I know you can do this, just keep trying." That single phrase can become a seed of determination, pushing the student to overcome challenges and achieve something they never thought possible. Or think of a parent who patiently tells a child, "You are loved no matter what." That seed can grow into a lifetime of confidence and emotional security. On the contrary, a careless word, a harsh scolding, or a comparison can plant seeds of insecurity, fear, or resentment that may haunt someone for years. The power of a word is subtle, invisible, yet deeply transformative. Training your mouth, then, is like tending a garden. You cannot just scatter seeds anywhere and hope for a beautiful garden. You need to be intentional. You need to remove the weeds before they take root and nurture the flowers so they flourish. Every conversation is an opportunity to plant something positive, and every pause before speaking is a chance to assess whether the seed you are about to plant will grow into something good or harmful. And remember, seeds don't always grow immediately. Sometimes it takes time for the impact of your words to appear, but they are always working quietly in the background, shaping thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. When you truly understand the weight of your words, speaking becomes an art. You start choosing words that heal rather than hurt, that inspire rather than discourage. You start noticing how the garden of your relationships begins to bloom with trust, love, and understanding. And slowly you realize that training your mouth to speak carefully doesn't just benefit others, it transforms you as well. A mindful speaker becomes a thoughtful thinker, a compassionate friend, and a person whose presence cultivates wherever they go. So remember, every word you speak is a seed. Plant it with care, water it with kindness, and watch the garden of your life and the lives of those around you flourish in ways you may never fully see but will always profoundly feel. Practicing kindness in conversation is one of the simplest yet most transformative habits you can develop. Every interaction we have is an opportunity to uplift someone, to offer encouragement, or to plant a seed of positivity. Yet, so often, we forget this. Conversations can easily slip into criticism, impatience, or even indifference. But when we consciously choose kindness in our words, we not only influence others' moods and confidence, but also cultivate our own inner peace and emotional strength. Kindness in speech is not about being soft or avoiding the truth. It is about communicating in a way that honors the other person's dignity while still being authentic and sincere. Think of a time when someone spoke to you with genuine warmth and understanding. Perhaps it was a friend who encouraged you when you were doubting yourself, a mentor who praised your effort, or even a stranger who offered a simple compliment. That small gesture likely stayed with you far longer than you realize. Kind words have a ripple effect. They create an environment where people feel valued, heard, and understood. On the other hand, harsh, careless, or dismissive words can linger as wounds, subtly eroding confidence and trust. The difference lies in the conscious choice to practice kindness before we speak. Kindness in conversation begins with listening. Truly listening requires more than hearing words. It requires empathy, attention, and the willingness to step into the other person's perspective. When you listen first and speak second, your words carry consideration and thoughtfulness. Instead of reacting impulsively, you respond intentionally, choosing language that supports, reassures, and uplifts. A kind conversation doesn't mean avoiding difficult topics or difficult truths. It means addressing them with compassion and tact without diminishing the other person's self-worth. Even the smallest gestures of kindness in speech can have profound effects. If a teacher telling a student, "I believe in your ability to improve," plants a seed of motivation that may fuel years of effort. A co-worker offering, "I appreciate the effort you put into this project," strengthens collaboration and morale. A simple thank you or a well done can transform someone's entire day. Kind words have the power to inspire, motivate, and heal while also creating trust and strengthening relationships. Practicing kindness also requires mindfulness and self-awareness. It means noticing when your words may carry frustration, judgment, or impatience and choosing to pause before expressing them. It requires humility and the understanding that your words can either empower or diminish. By consistently choosing kindness, you train your mind and heart to see the good in others, even in challenging situations. Over time, this becomes second nature, and your conversations reflect thoughtfulness, warmth, and wisdom. Furthermore, kindness in conversation is contagious. When you speak with compassion, it encourages others to respond similarly. It creates an atmosphere where people feel safe to express themselves, share their thoughts, and grow. A culture of kind communication spreads beyond individual interactions. It transforms communities, workplaces, and even families. Ultimately, practicing kindness in conversation is a practice of love and respect. It is the conscious choice to uplift rather than tear down, to encourage than criticize, and to inspire rather than discourage. When your words are rooted in kindness, they become tools for connection, growth, and transformation. You may never fully know the impact of your words, but every act of gentle, thoughtful speech adds beauty, positivity, and light to the world around you. Avoiding harmful words is a principle that is often overlooked, yet it is one of the most important aspects of mindful communication. Every word we speak carries energy, and some words have the power to uplift while others have the power to wound. When we speak without thought, through anger, frustration, or habit, we risk planting seeds of pain, doubt, and negativity in the hearts of those around us. Harmful words can leave lasting scars, even when they are said in the heat of the moment or with no intention to hurt. Understanding this and making a conscious effort to avoid causing harm is a vital step toward cultivating meaningful relationships and creating a positive environment in every sphere of life. Think about a situation where someone speaks harshly to you. Even if the words were brief, their impact can linger for days, weeks, or longer. A careless insult or a sharp criticism can trigger insecurity, fear, or resentment. Words that wound often do more than just affect feelings. They can change the way a person sees themselves, altering confidence, self-esteem, and even life choices. The subtle truth is that harmful words may vanish from our memory, but they remain alive in the mind of the listener. Being aware of this gives us a responsibility. We must speak carefully and deliberately, understanding that our words are not just reflections of our thoughts, but active forces in someone else's life. Harmful words are not always shouted insults or offensive language. Sometimes they are subtle gossip, blame, or negative comparisons. For example, telling a colleague you're always making mistakes or saying to a child, "Why can't you do this right?" May seem harmless in the moment, but they can plant seeds of doubt and frustration. Over time, repeated exposure to such words can create a cycle of negativity that erodes self-confidence and strains relationships. Avoiding harmful words requires awareness, self-control, and empathy. It means thinking not just about what we are saying, but how it may be perceived and felt by the other person. The practice of avoiding harmful words also involves mastering our emotions. Often, words spoken in anger or frustration cause the most damage. Pausing before responding, taking a deep breath, and choosing words that express the truth without causing unnecessary pain is a skill that requires patience and discipline. It does not mean suppressing feelings or avoiding difficult conversations. It means communicating in a way that is respectful, clear, and constructive. Conflict can be addressed without cruelty. Criticism can be offered without tearing someone down. This is the essence of mindful communication. Furthermore, avoiding harmful words has a profound effect on our inner peace. When we speak carelessly or hurt others with our words, we carry guilt, regret, and tension. Conversely, when we intentionally choose words that are kind, thoughtful, and considerate, we cultivate harmony within ourselves. Speaking without harm allows us to nurture trust, respect, and connection with others. It also sets a positive example, encouraging those around us to communicate with care and awareness. Ultimately, avoiding harmful words is a practice of responsibility and compassion. It is recognizing that our words are not just expressions of our thoughts, but tools that can either heal or hurt. By committing to speak with care, we not only protect others from unnecessary pain, but we also elevate ourselves, becoming individuals whose presence and speech inspire trust, respect, and positivity. In a world where words can make or break, choosing to avoid harm is a powerful and transformative habit that shapes relationships, character, and even society. Training your mind to control your mouth is one of the most powerful yet underappreciated skills in life. Most of us speak without thinking, reacting impulsively to situations, emotions, or provocations. But our words are not isolated. They are reflections of our inner thoughts, emotions, and mental state. If the mind is restless, judgmental, or reactive, the words that follow will often mirror that chaos. Conversely, a disciplined, aware, and thoughtful mind produces speech that is calm, deliberate, and constructive. Training the mind to control the mouth is about bridging the gap between thought and speech, ensuring that every word we speak is intentional, purposeful, and beneficial. Consider a simple scenario. You are in a heated argument with a friend or colleague. The emotions are running high, your heart is racing, and your mind is flooded with irritation. In that moment, if the mouth is left unchecked, words fly out that may be cruel, accusatory, or unfair. These words, once spoken, cannot be taken back. They can create distance, resentment, and even long-lasting damage to a relationship. However, if the mind is trained to pause, reflect, and assess before speaking, the same situation can be handled with composure. Instead of reacting impulsively, you choose words that express your perspective without attacking or hurting the other person. This is the essence of controlling the mouth through the mind. Training the mind begins with awareness. You must notice your impulses, recognize the emotions driving your words, and consciously decide whether speaking in that moment will create value or harm. Awareness allows you to slow down, breathe, and choose words that reflect clarity rather than confusion. It is not about suppressing emotions or pretending everything is fine. It is about responding with wisdom instead of reacting with impulse. Just as a gardener tends to plants carefully, removing weeds and nurturing growth, training the mind to control the mouth requires careful attention to our inner thoughts and intentions before letting them take verbal form. Another critical aspect is practice. Like any skill, controlling your speech requires consistent effort. Begin with small steps. Pause before responding in casual conversations. Reflect before posting online. And think twice before reacting in moments of anger or frustration. Over time, this practice strengthens the connection between the mind and the mouth. You develop the ability to speak with precision, empathy, and purpose. Your words become tools for building understanding, trust, and harmony, rather than instruments of conflict or misunderstanding. Training the mind to control the mouth also cultivates emotional intelligence. It allows you to recognize triggers, manage stress, and navigate difficult conversations without causing harm. You begin to understand the subtle ways words affect people, the encouragement that motivates, the criticism that discourages, the sarcasm that wounds. This understanding transforms the way you communicate, allowing you to interact with others in ways that are positive, empowering, and transformative. Ultimately, controlling the mouth through the mind is about mastering the self. It is about realizing that our words are not just sounds. They are powerful forces that shape relationships, influence outcomes, and reflect our character. By training the mind to guide the mouth, we align our inner wisdom with our external expression. We become individuals whose words carry weight, intention, and impact, leaving a legacy of understanding, respect, and positivity wherever we go. Having the courage to admit mistakes is one of the most powerful, yet often overlooked, aspects of mindful communication. Most people avoid acknowledging their errors out of fear of judgment, fear of losing respect, or fear of confrontation. But avoiding responsibility or deflecting blame through words does far more harm than the mistake itself. Words have the power to either heal or worsen situations, and when we deny our faults, we often plant seeds of mistrust, resentment, and misunderstanding. Admitting mistakes takes courage because it requires honesty, humility, and a willingness to face vulnerability. Yet it is precisely this act that builds respect, trust, and stronger relationships. Consider the dynamics of everyday life. In families, workplaces, or friendships, mistakes are inevitable. Misunderstandings happen, deadlines are missed, promises are broken, and expectations are unmet. The way we communicate about these mistakes determines the outcome. Someone who speaks honestly and says, "I was wrong and I apologize," demonstrates integrity and emotional strength. On the other hand, someone who blames others, makes excuses, or remains silent often creates tension, erodes trust, and damages their own credibility. Yes, sir, and damages their own credibility. Words spoken to admit fault carry power. They can mend bridges, restore confidence, and bring closure to conflict. The courage to admit mistakes is also a reflection of self-awareness. It requires the ability to look inward and honestly evaluate one's actions and their consequences. When we acknowledge our mistakes openly, we demonstrate maturity and a growth mindset. We communicate that we are committed to learning and improvement, rather than being defensive or ego-driven. In this sense, words of admission are not a weakness. They are a display of strength and responsibility. They tell others, I respect you and our relationship enough to be honest, even when it is uncomfortable. There is also a subtle but profound ripple effect. When one person takes responsibility for their mistakes, it often encourages others to do the same. It fosters an environment of transparency, trust, and mutual respect. Imagine a team where every member feels safe to admit errors without fear of ridicule or punishment. The team becomes more collaborative, resilient, and innovative because mistakes are addressed constructively, not buried under blame or secrecy. Words like I made a mistake, and here's how I'll fix it, create accountability, inspire confidence, and promote growth, not just for the individual, but for everyone involved. Courageous admission also enhances personal growth. Avoiding mistakes keeps us trapped in denial, limiting our ability to learn and evolve. By acknowledging errors through words, we confront reality, gain insight, and take responsibility for positive change. This practice not only improves relationships, but also shapes character. It strengthens the mind and heart, creating a person who is humble, self-aware, and capable of deep empathy. Ultimately, having the courage to admit mistakes is about aligning your words with truth and integrity. It is about understanding that being honest about your faults does not diminish your value. It enhances it. It communicates maturity, authenticity, and respect for both yourself and others. When words are used to acknowledge mistakes, they heal wounds, restore trust, and pave the way for stronger, more meaningful connections. In a world where many shy away from accountability, speaking honestly about mistakes becomes a beacon of integrity, courage, and wisdom. Choosing constructive over destructive speech is one of the most important habits we can develop. Yet, it is often overlooked in the chaos of daily life. Every time we speak, we have a choice. We can either build bridges or burn them, uplift someone or tear them down, create understanding or foster conflict. Constructive speech focuses on solutions, encouragement, and growth, while destructive speech often stems from frustration, negativity, or ego, leaving hurt, resentment, or division in its wake. The difference lies not just in the words themselves, but in the intention and energy behind them. Learning to consistently choose constructive words requires awareness, empathy, and practice, but the rewards, stronger relationships, greater influence, and inner peace are immeasurable. Think about a simple scenario at work. A team is struggling with a project and tensions are running high. One person complains, criticizes, and points out flaws, saying, "This is all wrong and it's hopeless." These words, though seemingly honest, are destructive. They demoralize the team, create frustration, and close the door to collaboration. Another person might say, "I see where we're struggling, but here's a way we can improve. Let's focus on the next step together." This is constructive speech. It acknowledges reality without judgment, encourages action, and fosters teamwork. The impact of constructive words is immediate. They create clarity, hope, and momentum. Destructive words, on the other hand, may feel satisfying in the moment but leave long-term damage. Constructive speech is not about being fake, overly polite, or avoiding the truth. It is about communicating truthfully while maintaining respect and focus on growth. For example, instead of saying, "You failed again," one could say, "I noticed some challenges in your work. Let's look at how we can improve next time." Both statements address the issue, but the latter guides toward improvement rather than discouragement. Words framed constructively give people a chance to learn, correct mistakes, and feel supported rather than attacked. Choosing constructive speech also requires emotional regulation. Often destructive words emerge in moments of anger, impatience, or stress. Without pausing to consider the impact of our words, we can say things we later regret. By training ourselves to pause, breathe, and choose words that focus on solutions rather than problems, we transform conflict into opportunity. Constructive speech builds bridges while destructive speech builds walls. The energy we put into our words shapes the atmosphere of our relationships, teams, and communities. The habit of choosing constructive words extends beyond professional environments. It applies to personal relationships as well. In families, friendships, and romantic partnerships, the way we communicate can either nurture trust and intimacy or create distance and tension. Constructive communication focuses on understanding, collaboration, and shared growth, while destructive words foster resentment, defensiveness, and disconnection. By consciously choosing to speak constructively, we strengthen bonds, build mutual respect, and create a positive environment where everyone feels heard and valued. Ultimately, choosing constructive over destructive speech is a reflection of character. It demonstrates self-control, empathy, and integrity. It shows that we understand the power of words and are committed to using that power wisely. Constructive speech uplifts, inspires, and solves problems. Destructive speech undermines, discourages, and divides. The practice of choosing our words carefully shapes not only our relationships, but also our own mindset, helping us become calm, thoughtful, and effective communicators in every area of life. Consistency is key when it comes to training your mouth to talk thoughtfully and mindfully. Just as a gardener cannot plant seeds once and expect a full blooming garden overnight, the practice of mindful speech requires ongoing effort, repetition, and dedication. One kind word, one thoughtful pause, or one constructive statement is valuable, but it's the consistent application of these habits that truly transforms your life and the lives of those around you. Consistency builds trust, credibility, and influence, while inconsistency can create confusion, hurt, and misunderstanding, no matter how well-intentioned you may be in moments of inspiration. Think about a leader who genuinely encourages their team, but only occasionally. One day they offer praise or guidance, but the next day they are critical, impatient, or dismissive. The team is left unsure of where they stand, struggling to trust their leader's intentions. Now imagine a leader who consistently speaks with thoughtfulness, encouragement, and clarity. Every interaction, every meeting, and every word reinforces trust, builds confidence, and creates a culture of respect. The impact of consistency is subtle but profound. It allows people to rely on your words, knowing that they come from a place of wisdom and integrity. Consistency also applies to how we communicate in our personal lives. Families, friendships, and romantic relationships thrive when words are predictable in their positivity, empathy, and encouragement. If a parent consistently speaks to a child with patience and guidance, the child learns trust, security, and self-confidence. If a friend consistently offers support, honesty, and kindness, the bond deepens over time. Conversely, inconsistency, moments of harshness, impatience, or carelessness can erode those bonds even if the majority of words are positive. The mind notices patterns more than isolated acts, which is why consistent, mindful speech is far more impactful than occasional brilliance. Developing consistency in speech requires deliberate practice. It means creating habits that guide your words, like pausing before responding, framing criticism constructively, offering encouragement regularly, and avoiding harmful language. Initially, it may feel unnatural or challenging because old habits of reactive or careless speech are deeply ingrained. But like any skill, the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Consistency is the bridge between intention and results. Without it, even the most thoughtful insights fail to leave a lasting impression. Another critical aspect of consistency is self-reflection. Taking time to review your communication patterns, understanding where you've spoken with wisdom and where you've fallen short, helps refine your approach. The habit of reflecting and adjusting ensures that your efforts are not sporadic but build momentum over time. The smallest improvements applied consistently compound into remarkable results, much like drops of water gradually filling a vessel. Consistency in speech also strengthens your own character. When you consistently choose thoughtful, kind, and constructive words, it reinforces patience, empathy, and emotional intelligence. Your mind begins to internalize these patterns, making it easier to respond with clarity and care, even in challenging situations. People begin to recognize your integrity, knowing that your words are reliable, grounded, and intentional. Ultimately, consistency is not about perfection. It is about commitment. It is about choosing day after day to speak with awareness, kindness, and purpose. Through consistent practice, your words become a reflection of your inner values, building trust, strengthening relationships, and shaping a life of meaningful impact. Over time, the seeds of mindful speech you plant every day grow into a garden of respect, influence, and positivity that touches everyone you meet. Your words reflect your character. Every sentence you speak is a mirror of your thoughts, values, and inner state. They reveal who you truly are, even when actions are hidden or intentions are unspoken. People may forget what you said, they may overlook gestures, but they rarely forget the impression your words leave behind. Your speech communicates more than just information. It conveys integrity, empathy, wisdom, and emotional maturity. They know that what is spoken can be relied upon, and that reliability forms the backbone of trust. Consider a manager who consistently communicates with transparency. They share updates honestly, offer constructive feedback without belittling others, and admit mistakes when they occur. Over time, the team begins to rely on this person, not just for guidance, but for emotional safety. They know the manager's words are genuine, that promises are kept, and that accountability is honored. Trust grows steadily because each word reinforces the perception of integrity. Conversely, when speech is inconsistent, vague, or manipulative, trust erodes quickly. People notice discrepancies between words and actions, and even small moments of dishonesty or carelessness can plant seeds of doubt that are hard to remove. Mindful speech also involves listening and responding thoughtfully. Trust is not created solely by what you say, but also by how you respond to others' words. When someone shares their thoughts, concerns, or vulnerabilities, your attentive listening and considerate response communicate respect and understanding. It signals that you value their perspective and that your words are not impulsive or centered. Over time, this consistent demonstration of empathy and attentiveness reinforces trust, creating a safe space where honest communication can flourish. The practice of mindful speech also requires self-discipline. Emotions like anger, frustration, or impatience can easily lead to words that damage trust. Pausing before responding, reflecting on the potential impact of your words, and choosing language that is constructive rather than destructive are essential steps in maintaining trust. Ainso, this is particularly true in challenging situations where the stakes are high and emotions are intense. People notice who can handle difficult conversations with composure and integrity, and their trust in that person deepens as a result. Mindful speech creates trust not only in relationships with others, but also in how people perceive us as individuals. Someone who speaks thoughtfully and honestly is seen as dependable, responsible, and authentic. Words in this sense become a reflection of character. That people are more likely to confide in, collaborate with, and follow those whose speech demonstrates consistency, empathy, and integrity. Trust once earned fosters collaboration, strengthens bonds, and enhances influence in every sphere of life. Finally, mindful speech also encourages self-trust. When you consistently choose your words carefully and act with integrity, you develop confidence in your own judgment and communication skills. You know that your words align with your values and intentions, which reinforces inner clarity and peace. This self-trust further enhances the trust others place in you, creating a positive cycle of reliability, respect, and influence. Ultimately, mindful speech is a powerful tool for creating trust because it communicates thoughtfulness, respect, and integrity. Every word is an opportunity to reinforce confidence, demonstrate empathy, and build strong, lasting relationships. By practicing mindful speech consistently, we cultivate trust not as a fleeting impression, but as a deeply rooted and enduring foundation for meaningful connection in all areas of life. Words have a long-term impact, far beyond the moment they are spoken. Every conversation, every comment, and every statement carries energy that can linger in the minds and hearts of others for days, months, or even years. While actions are visible, words are intangible, yet their influence can shape decisions, relationships, and even the trajectory of someone's life. A single kind or encouraging word can inspire a person to overcome obstacles and pursue their dreams. Conversely, a careless, harsh, or critical word can plant seeds of doubt, fear, or insecurity that take a long time to overcome. Understanding the long-term impact of our words is essential to becoming a mindful communicator and a person of positive influence. Think of a teacher who tells a student, "I believe in you, and I know you can do this." That one sentence, spoken sincerely, can remain in the student's memory for decades, influencing how they approach challenges, build confidence, and perceive themselves. Or consider a parent who consistently offers words of encouragement and love. Those words become a foundation of self-esteem and emotional security for a child, shaping the way they interact with the world and form relationships in adulthood. Words are not fleeting. They are investments in the minds and hearts of others, carrying consequences far beyond the immediate moment. The long-term impact of words is particularly evident when considering negative speech. Criticism that is harsh or personal, sarcasm that belittles, or gossip that spreads falsehoods can create wounds that take years to heal. Even words spoken casually, without ill intent, can leave lasting impressions if they diminish someone's confidence or sense of worth. The power of words lies not in their physical presence, but in how they resonate emotionally and psychologically. A single careless phrase can echo repeatedly in a person's mind, shaping beliefs, attitudes, and decisions long after the moment has passed. Words also have a ripple effect beyond the immediate recipient. One kind word can inspire them to act positively toward others, creating a chain reaction of encouragement and goodwill. Similarly, a negative word can lead to hurtful interactions, perpetuating cycles of tension, resentment, or misunderstanding. This ripple effect demonstrates that the long-term impact of words is not limited to the individual. It extends outward into communities, workplaces, and families, influencing culture and relationships on a larger scale. Being aware of the long-term impact of our words requires mindfulness and intentionality. It means pausing before speaking, reflecting on how your words will be received, and considering their potential influence over time. It also requires empathy, understanding the experiences, emotions, and vulnerabilities of the person you are speaking to. When we cultivate this awareness, our speech becomes deliberate and responsible, leaving a positive legacy rather than unintentional harm. Finally, words have a long-term impact on our own lives. Speaking carelessly can damage our reputation, credibility, and relationships. Conversely, consistently speaking with integrity, kindness, and mindfulness builds a legacy of respect, trust, and influence. Our words define how people remember us, how we are perceived, and how we shape the world around us. By recognizing the enduring power of words, we gain the ability to transform not only our interactions, but also the lives of those we touch, creating influence that extends far into the future. Ultimately, understanding that words have a long-term impact encourages us to communicate thoughtfully, speak with purpose, and act with integrity. Every word becomes an opportunity to inspire, uplift, and leave a lasting impression that positively shapes lives and relationships far beyond the immediate moment.